love. I mentioned this a little bit earlier about Belle's love for his mom and for his wife, who also he ended up marrying a deaf woman, and the impact that that may have had on him, and him coming to a point where he wanted to help the deaf people and improve conditions, and that led him to be able to invent the telephone. I know this is a question we all ask all the time. Is love responsible for the world that we have today? For all the improvements? I know some people would put it in a more crass way. You all thinking about it. You know who you are if you're thinking about it, because I'm thinking about it, but I'm just being polite. We'll call it love. Yeah. So for Mabel, for him, he had to work harder, work faster, and prove himself and becoming a success in order to marry her. We did talk a little bit about Hubbard being the father of Mabel. So in this instance, his business partner's daughter is whom he fell in love with. Kind of sticky, a little sticky for me. I don't know if I would have. I don't know, bro. That's too much for me. I can't. It's too much family involvement. Either way, though, again, if it wasn't for the love of woman, would Belle have worked harder to be able to become a success in this field? I know we don't always think about it, but sometimes this makes me think of the butterfly effect. Just one little change impacting, kind of like a domino, making so many other things fall down, where eventually this is what comes into being. Mabel wrote a letter to Belle, and I'm going to read it to you guys in this, just in case you haven't had the opportunity to see the episode of just the reading of Belle. So, on August 30th, 1875, Mabel wrote to Belle, proving to be a mature young woman beyond her years. She says, "Perhaps it is best we should not meet a while now, and that when we do meet we should not speak of love. It is too sacred and delicate a subject to be talked much about. Till I know what it means myself, I cannot understand or fully sympathize with the feeling. Only if ever again you need my friendly help and sympathy, it is yours." So that little message that Mabel eventually wrote to Belle gave Belle confidence that Mabel had not rejected him entirely. So he began to work harder, and he renewed his purpose. And he returned to his invention with renewed purpose, because he wanted to be married and he wanted to earn money in that field. Diverge of path. Yes. Going into different directions. That's one thing I've noticed, is that one way or another, you're going to have to choose, and that path will either make or break you. I'm sure there will come other times where you'll have the same decision to make again, and you'll have an opportunity to redeem yourself, and so on and so forth. But for Belle, it was picking between his two passions. He had deaf education, which he loved and enjoyed, and he also had telegraphy, which he was inventing and wanting to make the telephone happen. And Hubbard kind of helped him a little bit in that, making that decision. He was like, you can have my daughter, you can take my daughter's hand in marriage, and you can be an inventor, or you can just be a teacher. I think having love on that side definitely helped him make that decision faster, or make the proper decision for our case, I think. But there's always a path where people have to make different decisions. For me lately, I've actually come to a path where, I have come to a point where I had to make decisions. And right now I'm talking to you in front of a camera because I made my decision. But it was not an easy decision. It's always, we all face doubts. We all wonder, am I doing the right thing? How about if I fail? So on and so forth. At the end of the day, still have to make the decision though. And the decision I made recently was to start a podcast, obviously. However, prior to this, I had tried having different jobs. I listened to what my parents wanted me to do. Grew up in a house where education, very important. My parents wanted the best for us, of course. What parent doesn't? But I followed the footsteps my parents wanted me to do. I went to college. I got the proper degree. I tried to see if I could work in that field, and I was like, this is not for me. I don't like being in office. I'm not good at being told what to do. I tried, okay? I tried very hard. I tried to stick it out. I couldn't stick it out, okay? This is why I'm like, I'm going to be my own boss. If I'm yelling at myself, I'm yelling at myself. But there are certain things that I couldn't handle. And I simply, you know what? It's not me. It's the industry. Sometimes you are the problem. And in this case, I recognized I'm simply not built to be in an office doing paperwork and interacting with people whom I do not much respect or would want to live their lives for that matter. So this is me choosing my own path. A healthy dose of delusion. Alec made a melodramatic prophecy, fantastic for 1876, but proving correct by the passage of time. Articulate speech was transmitted intelligibly this afternoon. I have constructed a new apparatus operated by the human voice. It is not, of course, completed yet, but some sentences were understood this afternoon. I feel that I have at last struck the solution of a great problem, and the day is coming when telegraph wires will be laid onto houses just like water or gas. Friends converse with one another without leaving home. This is what Alexander Graham Bell envisioned. Today we are living it. Yet at the time in 1876 when he was uttering such words, he sounded delusional. And this is what I'm saying. A healthy dose of delusion. People, we need a healthy dose of delusion to venture out in these crazy waters, to try these things that are so bold. At the same time, I don't ever think failure is failure. Failure is often an opportunity to learn. But in this case of delusion, going back to that, how could, 200 some, 120 some years ago, that's the thought that was in his mind. How could he even, I don't know. I mean, maybe that's what makes them legends, because they can think about these things in a way that is so far removed from what was a reality then. But today we're doing much more than what he envisioned. We're talking to a camera with a Wi-Fi thing that we're now going to transmit a signal online where everybody can see this video. I'm sure if Alexander Graham Bell was here today, he would be like, wow. Oh, wow, I'm speaking into a microphone, not a telephone. What is this? So yes, be a little delusional. It will serve you well, people. Okay? So in 1885, American Bell spun off into a new company, American Telephone and Telegraph. This built a national long-distance network. AT&T was incorporated and headquartered in New York, where financial regulations allowed major expansion. Now I have finally told you what AT&T stands for, so don't get mad at me, okay? Just had to bury it in there, deep under. See how committed you are to these videos. But yes, American Telephone and Telegraph satisfied my curiosity. We talked about the women in Belle's life already, and, not much more to say in that regard other than I know growing up, especially in school, we talked about the presidents a lot. We talked about war, World War II, and what people had to play in it and things like that. But I mean, even in World War I, we started a world war over a woman, I believe. I think it was, it's been a while, guys. Austria, Hungary, perhaps. Perhaps I have it wrong. My history is a little hazy. I haven't touched up on that, okay? But it was a fight between some cousins and a woman, or somebody and his wife. We start a war for a woman. So is it that far-fetched that we would invent crazy things for the love of a woman? Love. Maybe it does all come back to love. Thank you very much for being here. Oh yes, comment down below. Well, comment down below. You think the hair is real or you think it's fake? Because I'm curious. Maybe I'll do a tally about this or something, and then down the road I'll be like, hey, let's see how many of you got it right, how many of you got it wrong. But if I were you guys, I'd be like, is that real? Is that real? I want to satisfy my curiosity. It's been nice talking with you guys. I'm Shalinda, and I will see you in the next episode. Goodbye.